Hi there and welcome to Tuesdays with Annette. We're in the kitchen and we're making something that's going to be perfect for Easter long weekend, and it is my rich chocolate squares. So this is the recipe we're making today. I hope you've downloaded the recipe and you've got your ingredients out like me, and we can make it today. It's out of book 4, but it's also in the cooking for 1 or 2. I'm a bit in love with the idea of being able to, if you want to make Sir's 15, then you make it out of the book 4. And if you want to make enough for 8, then you make it out of the cooking for 1 or 2. Simple as. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go and wash our hands because that's Tuesday. It's the cooking class. So if you're ready to do it with me, let's go wash our hands. And 20 seconds. Now, of course, things are changing all the time in Australia, and in Brisbane is in lockdown at the moment. Luckily on the Sunshine Coast we're not doing too bad up here, but my heart and love goes out to everybody in lockdown, because you could be any parts of Australia in lockdown right now. So just take care and look after yourself. All right. And that's why I really am big on washing my hands more than I ever did in the past. Oh my gosh, all the time. All right, so before we start, let's talk about last week's show, because I was in Sydney babysitting the grandkids, and we did the Indian tikka chicken, which was just so delicious. We loved having it for dinner that night. But we have 3 winners from the show. This is out of book 6, and we have Kathy Wardman, Christine Rayner, and Laurie King. All have got a personal copy of that book coming their way. And of course I'll be giving away at the end of the show, and you always have a choice when there's the 2, so you could have the cooking 1 or 2 or book 4 as your choice this week. So let's look at the ingredients we need. Hello, if you've just joined me, we're making rich chocolate squares, and I thought it was a perfect idea for leading into Easter. It's out of book 4 or cooking 1 or 2, and why I chose it is because we're going to be in chocolate overload over Easter, and I think maybe this could be your way of having guilt-free chocolate, and maybe say no to all the chocolate eggs that may cause you problems with your weight once you start. All right, so what we need for this recipe is the oven's preheated to 180 degrees fan force. It's ready to go. We're going to use 2 egg whites. We've got 1/3 cup of white sugar. We've got a little jar of the baby apple, or you could use 1/2 cup of apple puree if you didn't have the baby apple. We're going to do 1/3 cup of sifted cocoa, 1/2 cup of skim milk. We're going to put 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla essence. We've got some Nutella. Okay, this is my secret ingredient. We want 1/2 cup of Nutella, so that's the spread there. 1 cup of self-raising flour, and we're putting in 1/2 teaspoon of bicarb soda, because I'll show you how we do that, and some cooking spray. Because it's Easter, I'm also going to change it a little bit, because we're going to ice it as well. And so we've got the icing with the recipe, so you might have to wait till your slice cools, but I've made one ahead, so I'm ready to go with that. And you need some cocoa, some more Nutella, 1 cup of icing sugar, and some skim milk for that. But I'm going to decorate it with a little bit of Easter fizz. That's right. So let's get started. All right, so we're going to start first, and this is how I do my baking most of the time. You beat your egg whites and your sugar together for a minute. Now straight away I've saved 12 grams of fat by not putting the yolk in. And you know what? People say to me, oh, it's such a waste. And I go, well, you know what? I'm all about health and well-being. And I was at one point giving those yolks to my dog, and he got a fatty liver. And so, yeah, not an ideal situation. So we've got 2 egg whites, 1/3 cup of white sugar. Now this is the thing, a lot of times with a lot of chocolate things, they do a lot of sugar in them, whereas only 1/3 cup, which is fantastic. So we beat that for 1 minute. I'm so glad you joined me today, because this is our final Tuesday for this season. I'll tell you about when I'm starting back, but thank you so much for joining me on Tuesday, and I hope you're back in again on Thursday, because I've got another fabulous Easter recipe coming your way. So this is the rich chocolate squares out of book 4 and cooking for 1 or 2. All right. Now it does freeze, so it's a really good one if you wanted to make it now and keep it for Easter. just what I tend to do is I make the cake and then put in the freezer and then I ice it on the day. Just up to you though. So now what we're going to do is we're going to plonk in some more ingredients. This is the great thing about this recipe. It's so easy. So you've beaten your egg whites and sugar, and I didn't actually go over the utensils we need, but basically it's spoons, measure spoons, beater, you know, the bowl. I've got a slab tin, and that's 18 by 28 centimetres. So make sure you're using the right size. If you're making it out of cooking for 1 or 2, it's actually a 9-inch square or 18 centimetre cake tin. So that's the difference. All right, so I've also got my sifter here ready to go as well. All right, so we're going to put in half a teaspoon of bicarb soda into the apple sauce. Now this together, it will activate and it really helps lighten up the cake. Let me get a little teaspoon. Now you just mix it in. It'll start to froth up. Have a look here. Bill's zooming in on it. Look here, see how it froths up? And that means it's been activated and the bicarb is fresh. If you do that and nothing happens, your bicarb is probably 100 years old and you need to buy some new stuff. Anyway, so I discovered this years ago in book 1, where, you know, by adding the bicarb to the apple puree, it really replaces a lot of the moisture that butter or oil would use in a recipe. All right, so we've got that in. We're going to now, so we've done the beaten the egg whites and the sugar. Remember, we've done the apple sauce and you've got that in. Now what we're going to do is pour most of the stuff in. So we're going to put in now, put your half a cup of skim milk in there. I'll get my little stack over here. We're going to put in half a teaspoon of vanilla essence. Alrighty. Thanks for joining me today. I love being in the kitchen and it's so good to be back doing it myself with both my arms, and it is of course the rich chocolate squares. If you didn't come in earlier, come on, you've got to put your timer on. And now we're going to put in 1/3 cup of sifted cocoa. Always sift your cocoa. You never, no matter what, because you don't want lumps. And I use the Plaistow cocoa. It's a Nestle brand, and I love it because you'll see it really becomes quite dark and rich, the cocoa. I really love it so much. That's why I even mention it in the recipe that it's Plaistow. Now all I've got to do is put in the Nutella. Oh my gosh. So you want half a cup. So if you've got that out. Now a lady said to me, I don't like Nutella. And I go, really? Wow. What could I use instead? And actually I thought, well, you know what? If you are nut-free as well, then this wouldn't be a great recipe for you. So I'm going to tell you in a little bit. Let me just get rid of all this. I'm going to tell you a little bit some of the other great recipes you could make instead of the rich chocolate squares, all right? So in my soapy sink, and all we have to do is beat it up. I mean, how hard is this? It is so easy. And the good news is, per serve, it's only 3.5 grams of fat per slice. And if you make it out of the cooking for 1 or 2, it's just a little bit less at 3.3. I'm just going slowly with my beater because I don't want the cocoa to fly everywhere. And now that that's beaten in, I'm just going to go up a bit more. Oh yes. And what a great way to have some guilt-free chocolate over Easter, or basically any time. All right, so we've done all that. We're going to now put in the cup of sifted self-raising flour. And there, that's the cake. I mean, hello, can it be any easier than that? I know, it's fabulous. Now remember, the oven's preheated to 180 degrees, fan forced. And now we're going to get my little wooden spoon here, and this is where you just gently, don't use your electric beater at this point because it'll get tough. What you're going to do is you're just going to gently fold it through until it's combined. Once you've got all the white powder, which is the flour, mixed through, can you see that? It is done. And see how rich and dark this looks because of the Plaistow cocoa. Now what I do is I get my scraper and I'm going to scrape around the edges to make sure I've got everything mixed in. Oh yes. Now we get the baking tray. So I hope you're keeping up with me. And if you're just joining me, it's rich chocolate squares. We've already done it. We're now going to put it in the oven. It's out of book 4. But what I'm going to do is just go over to the sink and just give my slab tin, which is 18 by 28 centimetres, a coating. I don't want that to go all over the bench. Let's move this over here. I've got chocolate everywhere. Oh my gosh. All right, so now what you do is we've done that. The oven's preheated to 180, remember, and we just now pour this fizzy fabulous chocolate cake or slice into the slab tin. Now, the great thing is that, you know, with the Nutella, it really picks up the flavours. I can smell it. And I'm a big fan of Nutella, I do love it. But I find it very sweet. And by putting it in the cake, though, we get that hazelnut joy. But it just goes so well with the chocolate. All right, so let's put that over at my soapy sink. Now, all you have to do is get a spoon and spread it out. Make sure you go into the corners because often we forget about them, and then when it's cooked it's all narrow and then no one wants the end bits, do they, because of that? Yes. All right. In the oven it goes in for 25 to 30 minutes. My oven's fairly quick, so I'm going to do 25. I mean, please. Can it get any easier than that? So what we want to do now, because I want to jump ahead, is I want to do the icing. So what I did is I made a cake up ahead before, and it's still a little bit warm, which is what we want. Actually, I might just put that over it to keep it a bit warm. Let's now do the icing and finish it off. It's so easy to make this icing because all you do is get that sifter going. I'm going to put the icing sugar, which was 1 cup, and then it's 2 tablespoons. Is it 2 tablespoons? No, it's 1.5 tablespoons. I knew there was something wasn't right there, of cocoa. Just sift that together. And then you've got Nutella to go in, which is 2 tablespoons. That's what it was. And then you're going to just add milk, enough milk to make it spreadable. All right, so in goes the Nutella. Now, if you don't like Nutella, I've lost you, I know. But what you can do is I have loads of chocolate recipes. So, you know, I have got you covered. So when I'm thinking about baking, I've got a wicked chocolate cake that is truly wicked. It's out of book 2. Now you've got the choc mint squares that are out of book 6. And then you've got chocolate banana cake in book 6 as well. Chocolate mud cake. That is fabulous in book 3 if you really want a decadent chocolate thing. Then you've also got the chocolate loaf in book 1, chocolate slice in book 5, choc chip cookies in book 4, and choc chip muffins in book 1. So if you're into chocolate and you're really thinking about Easter, just go to the books, you'll be fine. So if you can't have this one as well. Now I just put in, it says about, you know, a couple of tablespoons of milk. I always tend to just go carefully because you don't want it really runny, but you also don't want it too thick that it won't spread. And that's why I don't tend to be over generous with icing because it's a lot of calories, a lot of carbs, but you know what? You need some icing on this particular recipe especially. And so I always just do what I think is enough. And so one of the tips that I've had there is I actually say spread it over the warm cake. And I find that that way then it seems to spread easier than on cold. All right, so just mixing it through, just a little bit of milk at a time. And then we will decorate this for Easter. Oh yes. A little bit more. I think I started off a bit too slow in the beginning, didn't I? Let me put that down here. So you've got Nutella in the cake and in the icing. Yes, a fabulous. It is such a delicious cake, and how perfect for Easter. Yeah. Oh, look at that. All right, we're good. So let's spread it over the one that I've got cooked, and this is what you'll do when your cake is done, okay? So let's get all that out. And one of the things that I love about this is that you get 15 serves or squares or slices, so you've got plenty to give around. But as I said, in the cooking one too, you get 8. It doesn't cut like a square shape because of the way you're using the tin, but that's okay, because what I did is I actually made, I've been busy with chocolate cake going everywhere this morning. I actually made the smaller batch to show you. So I'll show you that in a minute. So here's our icing going over the rich chocolate squares. Oh yeah. Just remember, 3.5 grams of fat, I know, per slice, compared to a big chunk of chocolate Easter egg. You might prefer this. Everything in moderation is the key to weight loss success, I always say, and it doesn't hurt to have some nice things to enjoy every now and then, just as long as you don't eat the whole slab yourself. All right, so here is my finished product, but I want to make it a bit Easter themed, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my knife and I'm going to do an indentation onto the base, onto the thing to see where the slices are, because it's not ready to be cut yet because the icing is soft. But we get 15, so you want to go down 3 times. See how I'm cutting it? And then we do 5. So 1, 2, 3. So here, here. Don't press too hard. 3, 4, 5. Now, why I've done that is because I'm going to put some Easter eggs on it. Hello, it's Easter. So I bought these speckled eggs. They're from M&M, and they're crispy ones. So they're not solid chocolate all the way through. So they're only 0.2 grams of fat per little egg and 10 calories. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a little bit of an Easter fizz. So mix up your colours a bit. I'm going to put 2 eggs on each one. Why not? And that way everyone's going to get a little bit of Easter happening on their slice. I know, isn't it fabulous? I love it. I mean, who knew weight loss could be so deliciously healthy? Yes, people, doing it the Simply Too Good way. And you know, like these are just a good size, these little speckles. I got them in Woolies, just so you know. Have I done everybody? Who am I missing? We've got 2 on each one. Last one. 2. Oh no, we're missing one here. Oh, I bet that'd be the piece I'd probably get. There we go. There it is. Now, if you'd like to win book 4 or cooking for 1 or 2, you can choose. You just have to like, share, and then in the comments, just write something like Happy Easter or whatever you like. But once there's a comment in there, you qualify, and I'll pick 1 of 3 of people to go in to win from this week's show. But let me just show you, I did make it up, as I said, ahead. Now this is cooking it. I'm sorry, but do you love my little stand, my little rabbit? It's a bit cute. I got that in Woolies as well. Now I've made the rich chocolate squares in the book 1 and 2. So there's 8 serves. You'll see it's more of an oblong than a square, but we don't care. And there it is, ready to go. I wanted to show you the finished product. It's just a delicious chocolate, guilt-free way. And as I said, who knew weight loss could be so deliciously healthy? Now, on Thursday, I'm doing my final one for this season, and I thought, okay, it's Easter, let's do something fizzy fabulous with fish, because I've been raised that on Good Friday we always do fish. Up to you, it's a religious thing, but I always have done it. And so I thought, no, we don't want a boring piece of fish on Good Friday. Let's do Thai sweet and sour fish out of book 7. It is fabulous, and it's just a really nice way to enjoy fish, but with some really good flavours. Now, I will be back in May, so I've got Thursday, don't forget, be there, be square, or Rich Chocolate Squares, but I will be back on the 4th of May and the 6th of May. That's when I start back, just having a little bit of a break, want to rest my arm a little bit more, you know, have some time out. It's my birthday in April, so I'm having a birthday month, and so put in your diary. Back in the next Tuesday show will be the 4th of May. So we'll be cooking up a storm and getting ready for Mother's Day. Anyway, here we go, Rich Chocolate Squares. However you want to do it, says 15 or says 8. Thanks for joining me, and don't forget, if you want more recipes or tips, go to simplytoogood.com.au. Thanks for joining me. Bye now.